I'm Darci from the Kosciuszko County Soil and Water Conservation District. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about wetlands. Now, many years ago we thought wetlands were just wastelands and we drained a lot of them. However, now we know that they performed a lot of valuable things for the environment. Wetlands are areas that are wet, not all the time, but most of the time. They have special plants that live there. The soils are a little different. The things that live there are a little different. So we know that they're a valuable habitat and a valuable part of our environment. We're going to do a little activity with this talk about wetlands called Wetland Metaphors. So to do it, we need to understand the different functions or things that a wetland does for the environment. So we have those things listed on the board here. Flood control. Wetlands are really valuable to hold extra water and can really help in flooded conditions. So it holds water before it lets it slowly out. So it's a good flood controller. A resting place. A lot of birds migrate, and when they migrate, they need little hotels all along the way. And that's what wetlands are. They give a bird a place to rest and find food for the night before it moves on its migration route. A place to raise young. Because wetlands have so much biomass, or things that live and grow there, it's a great place to raise young. Many things start their lives in a wetland because it provides such great shelter, food, and water. A filter. Wetlands act like a filter. If there are impurities in the water or pollution in the water, it can actually filter them out before that water moves on to another water system. It acts as a cleaner. Because there's so much biomass, and mainly plants in a wetlands, they can actually clean some pollutants up before that water moves on. A strainer. Bigger things that come into a wetland can be strained out before that water moves on. A mixer. A wetland is a mixing pot. Because wetlands are often a low spot in the landscape, a lot of things flow into it and they get mixed around in there. So it's a mixing pot of things coming in. It's also a mixing pot because there's so much living there and so much diversity of life. And the last one, a buffer. Wetlands, because it holds water for a long time, can actually neutralize or buffer that water before it moves on, and it cleans it up. So wetlands perform a lot of valuable functions. So what we'd like for you to do now is to find something in your house that might represent one of these functions of a wetland. See what you can find. So I'm really curious about what you found at your house that might represent a wetland. So I have some things in my bag here that I think represent a wetland. Let's see if they match any of the things that you found. The first one is a sponge. We said that wetlands are really good for holding and absorbing water and then for flood control. So wetlands act a little bit like a sponge sometimes. We also talked about wetlands being valuable for migratory birds that are flying north and south. So I have a pillow here to represent that. Wetlands are a good place for them to rest as they're moving on that migratory flight. I have a baby cradle here. As we said before, wetlands are a good place for many things to raise their young before they become adults. So this baby cradle represents raising young. Another thing that represents raising that young is cereal. Wetlands produce a lot of different kinds of plants and they have a lot of food there. So a wetlands can actually be like a bowl of cereal. We said that wetlands act like strainers for big things that come in. So I have a little strainer here. Wetlands act like strainers because they can help strain some of that big stuff out before it moves on into the water system. Wetlands are also great filters. I have some coffee filters here. So wetlands can filter out a lot of pollution and impurities before that water moves on. I have a bar of soap. Wetlands do a great job of cleaning water up before it moves on. So it acts a little bit like soap. And lastly, wetlands as a mixer. Because so many things flow into a wetland, it's like a big mixing pot. And there's a big mix of different things that live there and use that wetland. So wetlands have a lot of really valuable functions, and we understand them a little better than we used to. That's why instead of draining wetlands now, we're doing more restoring wetlands. And that's a really important thing to do for an environment.